Well, oops, I hit the wrong button, but hello, folks. Welcome to Blind Dad Does. My name is Ira, and I hope that you're having a good day. Hello, Robin. I think Ollie's around somewhere as well, but I'm not sure. Yep, there's Ollie. Hello, Ollie. Whoops, I did not mean to hit that wrong button there, but yeah, catch me unprepared, right? Yeah, indeed. You gotta love it. So, yeah, I decided to come back on tonight and do a little bit more streaming, see how everybody's doing. I'm not going to do art at this moment in time. My eyes are a little bit murdery after doing this stuff earlier today. But I am not going to quit doing that particular picture. It's turning out rather interesting, I think, but I need to give it another few hours before I can call it probably completed. But anyways, yeah. Hopefully everybody out there is having a good time. Tonight, we're talking about a little different subjects, I guess. Talking about life, you know, whatever happens to be on your mind, of course, as always. However, that also being said, one of the things that I thought that we could talk about tonight is ghosts, ghost stories, and ghosts and ghouls and goblins and all that kind of good stuff that everybody just loves to get chilled out about, right? Yeah. Ooh. Cool. Got a little bit of haunted kind of music going on there too at the same time. That works. So anyway, yeah, this is what happens when my intro gets screwed up and I don't have the moment to prepare my mind for what is about to happen. The explosion of interesting things in my brain must leak out into the universe, and oh my God, it spills over into everybody, and it's terrible. Horrible. It's a good thing I wasn't over here like peeing or something at the same time. Anyways, so yeah, it's been that kind of day, folks. Been that kind of day. However, anyways, what's everybody doing? How's your night going? Mine's been pretty interesting. You know, I did the art stream earlier, and I'll tell you, I was really nervous about doing it. But now that I've done it, maybe I'll do it a couple more times here and there, just because I got some really nice feedback from people after the show. They were commenting on the techniques that I was trying to teach and that kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. I liked that. And maybe I'll go a little bit more in depth next time into like how I do things and how things come about in my mind, because my mind is a little weird. No way. My mind is a little weird. Who'da thunk it? Who'da thunk such a thing? But I am a Robinson. That's what happens, right? So, anyway, last night we got to talking about religion. We got to talking about, I mean, it was a pretty in-depth conversation, but it kind of inspired me, I guess you could say, for what I was thinking about tonight and today, you know, just like the topic of ghosts and the afterlife and the things that go on or the things that we believe are going to happen and all of that kind of good stuff. You know, it's like it's a big subject that humans tend to like to dwell upon sometimes, because we are all mortal and we're going to end up there at some point in time. So, yeah. Trying to download a video of your garden to Facebook. It's being oddly difficult. Facebook is always oddly difficult for me anyways. Yeah. So is it like a tour that you recorded yourself, with a camera or something? If so, that's really cool. I'd love to see it. Your garden is spectacularly awesome. I love it. So I would love to see a tour of it. That would be really cool. But anyways, so I'm like to start things off for those of you guys just running into me for the first time. Hello, welcome. Where have you been? I've been here forever. I'm as old as dirt. And I am a blind guy, legit blind. I can't see anything past a few inches in front of my face without squinting about as hard as I possibly can just to get a little bit of discernment for what might be happening. And even then, it's a little difficult. So, yeah. You had to cut it in half. Your garden or the video? I know. I get it. The video. But anyways, yeah, so I am blind, and I do try to get through life and try to do these streams and everything like that while not being able to see very well. But at the same time, it's something that I really enjoy doing, and I love being here with everybody and just, you know, having a good old time in whatever kind of capacity that might be.
Oh, I love you. I love you.
I love you too, darling. I do. But anyways, so hopefully everything is like looking okay and being okay. It seems like my buttons got a little bit messed up, basically. When I went to start, I tried to hit a button to do a certain thing, and it like cut my intro off and everything. I still had another minute and a half to go, dang it, to prepare myself. Too high of a resolution. Gotcha. Well, that's not good. That's really weird. I wonder if it may be the video format, because isn't it a thing with Facebook that you can only upload to a certain maximum file size level or something like that? When it comes to videos, I'm thinking that's how it is, but I know that some video formats take up a lot more space than others. So like AVI takes up a crap ton, whereas the MP4 takes up a lot less. But I'm not sure what it is with your phone, like what default it would be or something like that. Yes, phone, thank you. I know I was talking about somebody else's phone. You don't have to interrupt me with your weird sounds going on. Thank you very much. One other thing I ran across tonight too was this topic of like how the Old West was and stuff, and it was kind of I got a bit of a kick out of reading some of it, like the weird hygiene things that had to be done in the Old West. So ultra high definition. Well, you've got to have that for a garden, right? You've got to show all the beautiful colors and all the wonderful things. That's got to be a thing. So yeah, probably it's a file size thing then. I bet. I'd be willing to bet. So like some of the things that they had to do in the Old West to survive, I think are pretty insane. And I don't know if I'd like, from a perspective of somebody that's got native blood, I definitely would not have wanted to be around back then compared to now, for sure. But as far as like the survivability factors and all that kind of stuff in the Old West was concerned, I don't know if I'd do very well. There are some people, like I know how to survive in things, I've trained myself. I've got the knowledge of things, but I do have the vision issues. That alone would probably really ruin the experience for me. So I don't think I'd do very well, but there are other people that are out there that could probably get along with it. So like if I went into a time machine, I think probably the last place I would want to go is like the 1800s, into the Old West and all that kind of stuff. Especially like I've had a lot of tooth problems over the years. I drink a lot. I drank way too much Mountain Dew in my youth, and it ruined my teeth. Like, quite frankly, it did, without doubt. And so knowing the fact that most people, any kind of barber work or any kind of dental work that they had to be done was done with barbers or blacksmiths. Like if you had to have your tooth pulled, you'd go to a blacksmith and they'd pull it with the tongs, like that they used to do the steel work and iron work with. Not for me. Thank you very much. Numb it down with a lot of whiskey. In fact, you'd have to knock me out with a lot of whiskey before I would do something along those lines. Thank you, but I will pass. Yes, indeed. Then you have things like the bedding had to be done with straw and that kind of thing, and so you'd get a lot of bugs. I'm a germaphobe, and I don't really like bugs. Like bugs are okay if they leave me alone, I'll leave them alone, kind of a thing, right? It doesn't bother me if they're around, but if they're crawling on me or whatever, you have invaded my personal space, dear bug, and you have violated the contract that would allow you to remain alive. So I'm sorry, but you gotta go, Yeah, exactly. Where we live, it was the Old West back in those days. Exactly. It is kind of crazy. I mean, like the town that both of us are from is the Fort Wayne area. And, Fort Wayne is literally named after Mad Anthony Wayne. The old fort is still there. Of course, it's been rebuilt in a few different times, but some of the old timbers and stuff are still around, weirdly. Anyways, Yeah, it was definitely frontier land here for sure. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you be able to go to a barber to have your tooth pulled or fixed or something along those lines? I think I would pass on that one personally. I don't think I'd be able to handle that one very well. And most certainly would not like to sleep on a bed of straw. That would pretty much be uncomfortable to begin with. But then top it off with all the bugs that would come along with it. No, I think I'll pass. Corn cobs, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, a lot of people would really sleep on anything that would help them to get elevated up off the floor, because of course if you're on the floor itself, not only is it uncomfortable, but the cold will get into your bones real quick. I know that from experience. And also the proclivity of critters crawling on you would be a lot higher if you're directly on the floor as opposed to being elevated some. So I mean, I suppose there's positivity to it if you're going to use some kind of substance to get you up off the floor for that value alone, but comfort wise, no, I'd be one of those. I'd have to be one of those Victorian, highbrow ladies. Give me a down-filled mattress or something like that. I gotta have some comfort. I cannot sleep uncomfortable. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to handle it very well just for the bug factor alone. Of course, I mean, if I was born and raised during that era, I suppose bugs would not be as big of a deal as it would be right now, but the bed situation better than the toilet situation. Well, you know what's actually funny is that, when I was born, the first few years of my life, we actually used an outhouse. The house that we lived in didn't have an indoor toilet, so it was an outhouse situation for me. And I'm not really all that old, but it was that was the only thing that was available there. There was no indoor plumbing and there was no septic tank attached to anything, so it was literally just an outhouse out back. And that was, I'll tell you, if you've never experienced it, trying to use an outhouse in the middle of winter time, especially when you live in the north like we do, it's not a fun experience at all. I got a horror story for you. I went to go sit on the outhouse toilet, and there was a snake in the outhouse trying to keep warm. And I'm like, I was young. I'm like, I ain't messing with that. I will hold it. Thank you very much. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to do outhouses at this stage of my life at all. Again, I'm a germaphobe, right? I don't even like doing porta potties. I don't understand porta potties. Oh God, don't let me near it. I can't. Just even being near it wigs me out hard. I can't do it. I don't I'll do anything I can do to avoid using public restrooms. In general, I can't stand it. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm frou-frou or something like that, too good for it or something like that. It's just, I know what people are like, and unfortunately I'm also a guy. So using men's restrooms is far worse. I've gone into ladies' restrooms. I know what they're like. They're not horrific like men's restrooms tend to be. Although I've seen some that are pretty ugly situations, but yeah, I don't like doing public restrooms at all. If I can avoid it, I will at all avoid it. I guess again, I'm lucky that I am a guy in that if I have to, if I feel the yearn to urine, so to speak, I can at least stand, right? But I guess for you ladies, what would you need? You'd have to get one of them shiwi things, right? I've heard those are interesting to use, but yeah. So anyway, so one of the things also that they did, hair care was like problematic at best back then too. And like most people didn't even really worry about it too much. And if they did, like they would just use straight up whiskey or something like that to, well, hi kitty. I don't know if you guys heard her meow there or not, but she just gave me a meow. She's probably wanting out of the room. Hollyhocks at an old home site was a ladies' outhouse. Really? That's interesting. No, I didn't know about that. That's interesting. That's pretty cool. Let me let the cat out of the room before she like completely freaks out and wakes up Jolene. Give me a brief moment here. Sorry. You and me both, sis. We're both full of useless trivia, right? I have returned. Sorry about that. I don't think that she would have actually woken up Jolene because Jolene like can sleep through a nuclear explosion. I swear to Bob. But figured I'd go ahead and let her out before she started really freaking out. Anyways, one of the things that came to my mind when talking about all of that. You finished the commission, Ollie. That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. If you want to send it to me, I'd love to check it out. It kind of reminded me like the whole bathroom situation. It reminded me of something that happened when I was younger too. So my mom and dad, we would go to different like camps, campsites and stuff like that over the years. And so we took a trip up to Michigan at one point in time. And while we were on the way, we stopped. Here, let me see. Ollie, that's really cool. Good job. Good job, kiddo. That's awesome. So we stopped at this little hole in the wall truck stop kind of a place to grab a bite to eat. And so we ordered the food, and my mom gets up to go to the bathroom, and the food finally comes, and we just start delving into eating it. And suddenly my mom comes bursting out of the bathroom and says, "Ted, we've got to go." And my dad said, "Well, I just got my food. What's up?" She goes, "We got to go." So he's like, "Woman, just sit down and eat. Like, what's going on?" Right? Just we've got to go. We've got to go right now. Dad's like, "We're not going. I just got my food." And so she goes, "Fine." And she sits down like in this big huff. And a couple of moments later, these two like big bulky truck drivers come walking out of the bathroom, and they look at my mom and they just start laughing their asses off. Like, just can't stop laughing and pointing at her and everything. So my mom like just puts her head down on the table, and my dad's like, "What did you do?" And she goes, "Well, I thought they made bathrooms different up here." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And so she explained the situation. And so basically she accidentally went into the men's bathroom, saw the urinal sitting there, and decided that was the toilet and needed to sit on it to use it. And these two truck drivers came walking in to go to the bathroom and see this woman sitting on the urinal going to the bathroom. My dad's like, "Where do you think we are, woman? We're only like 100 miles away from home. It's not like it's like a different country or something, right? Like, what the heck is wrong with you?" So, yeah. Crazy bathroom story. He didn't know how to take it. Of course, I was laughing my ass off, but you know, it's the weird things that happen, I guess. Right. It's not like we're in a different country. We're in Michigan, for God's sakes. How different are they supposed to be up here? So anyways, yeah, the bathroom situation in the Old West, I think, was pretty problematic at best too. You know, like outhouses were definitely a thing. And like the weird part is, like, you know, of course they would dig the trenches to make it happen. Right. And then once those started to get filled up, they'd have to then cover it and move the outhouse into a different location, then move it into a different location. So it's like the roving outhouses going all the way around the town or whatever, you know? And of course there was definitely no, janitorial duty back then. Janitorial people back then, you know, really. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of cleaning done. So you kind of had to deal with whatever you had. At that moment in time. I don't think I'd be able to handle it. I don't think I'd be able to handle it at all. So, okay. Sounds good, Robin. Good luck, soldier, to say the least. So yeah, I don't know. I don't, like, me being the germaphobe that I am, I barely like going to the bathroom in my own house, and I know how clean it is and how dirty it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even like doing it there, you know, but it's like, it's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do, literally. So just one of them things, you know? So what kind of like horrific bathroom stories do you guys have? I would love to know. I would love to know, just out of curiosity's sake. I think the day my mom used the urinal is probably the most horrific one that I could tell. But, you know, as a guy, I've encountered some pretty horrible bathrooms over the years. That's for sure. Some very haunted bathrooms, if you want to put it that way, since we're talking about ghosts a little bit tonight, you know. Pixies, giving them bread. I don't think I've ever encountered a pixie to give them bread enough. Like, is that what you're referring to? First, I thought you meant Pisces, giving Pisces bread, like as in fish, you know. And yes, I've definitely given fish a lot of bread over the years, but don't give them bread. Well, I mean, you know, listen, when it comes to the Fae, you don't want to really mess around with the Fae, anyways, right? Like that's not really the best situation for you. You want to avoid the Fae as much as you can when possible. I saw there was a picture that somebody put out. It was they're not gluten tolerant. Yeah. Yep, indeed. I saw there was a picture somebody had taken. It was done like in the middle of a forest, and it was like this big cement mushroom that somebody had created, and it had handprints in it, and there was a sign that was on it that said, let your troubles go, put your hands into the handprints, and let the Faes carry your troubles away. And I'm like, don't do it. That's a trap. That's a trap, people. You know, don't no. Bad idea. Don't tempt fate, man. Don't tempt the Fae. Very bad idea. So, Ollie, the pixie. Yeah, they take the things, exactly. You know, I swear, brownies, you know, like not the food, but the fairy type brownies. I swear that they're real, because like every damn time I drop something, it disappears. Like it's gone, completely gone, disappeared from existence. And I swear I swear, if they do not give me my crap back, I'm going to get very pissed off and I'm going to get out of can of raid. You know what I mean? Like, that was fake propaganda. Yeah, it sure was. Exactly. Like, I don't know, man. I would not mess. I know I was going for a walk with my kiddo one time and we found a fairy circle made out of grass, and they were like, I want to go run into it. And I'm like, no. Tempting fate, aren't I? Tempting it indeed. The little people, the darklings, the dark ones. I know. It's like Beetlejuice. You don't say it too many times. It's terrible, but that's how I am. I tempt fate, right? So what Ollie's talking about there is a story that we had made up together at one point in time about a pixie who was gluten intolerant, and whenever they got a hold of it, man, the mess would be horrific. Magic glitter crap everywhere. So yeah, your allergies are pretty bad today. We're in kind of like one of those air quality alert things where we live here. So like stepping outside into it is a bit of a mess. It kind of messed my sinuses up, and I'm not really affected by allergies too much. You know, like I get maybe just a little tad of things during the early springtime, but thankfully it didn't bother me too much to go out into it today, but I had to go out and seek food. Put out some sweet bread. I'll do some whiskey. That'll be good enough. Some Jameson. Get him a little drunk first. Anyways, so when we were walking around and we saw this circle, you know, they wanted to go run into it. I'm like, have you learned nothing from me, child? You know, like don't give your name out. Don't go running around in circles, you know, all that kind of good stuff. So, I mean, yes, probably, because I was nervous as hell before that art stream, man. I don't know. It's like the first time that I actually have done anything publicly with my art. Like, other than like, I mean, not, I've displayed my art, but I've never like shown anybody other than Jolene, who would sit next to me sometimes when I would do it, how I do it or my process or anything along those lines. I don't, it's very private to me, you know? So, spreading my wings in that kind of a way was very different for me. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I may delete it. I don't know, but, no, them being drunk, probably not a great idea, but, I'm afraid to see what kind of magic would end up happening with that one. That'd be probably a little terrifying. One thing too that I think was really prevalent in the Old West was like the smell of people, you know, the smell of things in general, but like the smell of people would probably drive me pretty nuts. Especially with my vision being the way that it is, my nose has gotten really sensitive to smells. And yeah, I didn't get like super hearing or anything like that. I got like the super sense of smell. Thanks, universe. Just what I need when I have a wife who likes to toot all the time. Anyways, it's terrible. So, I mean, the smell of people in general, I have a difficult time with. Like, it gets a little overwhelming, and like perfumes especially just murder me. And it's like the more flowery, like the fake flowery kind of a smell it has, the worse it is for me. Like I can't be around at all that kind of a thing. You know, Amanda is really inspiring to me. Like, I actually had her in mind a little bit when I did my stream tonight, because I was like, you know, I mean, I know she's got like all of the issues that she has, and yet she's still out doing this creative stuff and being really awesome with it, you know? And so I've been kicking around actually over the past few weeks about like what I can do with the art stuff, you know? And so it was kind of, she was kind of like one of the inspirations for me wanting to do that kind of a thing, to bring it onto the stream. And it was really cool that that girl who came in earlier was blind as well, because like one of the things that, okay, I guess it comes down to this. Like, I don't want to be like inspiration porn, right? Because that's a thing. You have like this. There are people that like seek out those who are disabled, who are doing things so that it can be like, you know, if look at what this person is doing and yet you're not accomplishing anything in your life, you know, what's wrong with you, and so on and so forth. That it's like, I mean, it's referred to as inspiration porn. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be that, but I do want to show people like, you know, look, I mean, yes, I'm a blind guy and I'm trying to do the artwork. I'm trying to do the streaming. I'm trying to do gaming and so on and so forth, and have fun with it. And yes, if I can do it, you could do it too. Right. But, I want to like be there for people who do have the same kind of issues so that they can know like, okay, these things are possible, right? I can't see very well, but I feel like I have to be creative. Okay, well, I mean, do it, you know, don't let anything stop you. Just do whatever it is that you love to do, or that you find to be inspiring, you know? So that's why I thought, you know, I'll do this because, and that's kind of like why I tag things, you know, blind guy doing this and that kind of thing, because it's like, I want those who have issues to know that they're not alone with wanting to be creative and so on and so forth. They're not weird, you know, because it's like, I mean, one of the first things that I always get asked when it comes to like showing the pictures that I've done and that kind of thing. In fact, yesterday I did a post on a group on Facebook that I'm in. And I posted one of the images that I've created, and like, it's gotten a lot of response. Like, I think at this point, it's got over 300 likes and all that kind of stuff on it, which, you know, is whatever. Right. But a lot of the comments that have been coming in with it have been along the lines of, okay, well, you say you're blind, but you know, how are you capable of doing this kind of thing? Right. How, if you're blind, are you capable of doing this kind of thing? Hey, Polly, welcome. How you doing? It's good to see you. I'm so glad to have you here again. You're amongst the crazy again. So, you know, you're home. You missed my art stream earlier tonight. I was talking, well, you were there for a little bit of it, right? But I don't know like how much of it you saw. But I was just talking a little bit about like some of the things that I've encountered when it comes to like me as a blind person trying to do art and stuff. Some of the things, like the responses that I've had with it. And so like I did this post on Facebook, where I showed that kind of like, the tonguing flower kind of a thing. And like some of the responses to it have been great. Like one of them was like, this is the most like, sexualized space fantasy thing I think I've ever seen in my life, you know, and that kind of, and it's like, I got a big laugh out of it. Cause I didn't have any like erotic things in mind when it came to doing that picture. Right. But I can see like afterwards that maybe, yeah, that kind of thing could be implied with it. Okay. So give me a second. I'm just going to grab a drink here real quick. Hydration, refreshing. No, I posted it to a group that I'm in on Facebook. I didn't post it on my timeline. I posted it onto a group, and so the members of the group, they've been like pretty supportive with it, right? But I've been getting a lot of comments from people asking like, how is it possible that you can do this being blind? Okay, and I don't really know how to respond to that. Like maybe you guys can help me out with that, because this is the first time that I've really ventured forth. Like, okay, I've shown my art for a long time, right? Like I've been open about this is the stuff that I've done, right? But I've not too much like gone into the fact that, hey, I'm also blind on top of it, but I want you guys to see what I have done, so I'm not sure how to respond, because I know some people are doing it just out of general curiosity, right? They're just generally curious. Okay, well, if you're blind, how are you doing this? But I know others are doing it from like a mean-spirited sort of a thing. It's like that. It's like it's a question, but it's one of those backhanded questions, that you can tell has like a dark intent to it, if that makes sense. Right, exactly. That is definitely a thing that you see happening. Let me show you. In fact, I can show you the picture because I don't know how many people saw it earlier. But let me see here. It is if I can bring it up. It is nope, too big. Way too big. There you go. This one. So like I can see like where they would maybe get the, this is like an erotic kind of a thing. I can get that because it does look like it has a tongue. But when I made it, like I had none of that like in the brain, no intention for it to be that way. But others that I've done, like for instance, give me a second here. Let me see if I can find it. There, this one. This one's one of my favorite ones that I've done. I really love how this one came out. But again, like I get a lot of comments like, this is really good, but how are you doing this when you're blind? Like, not believing I'm blind, or not believing that it's possible for somebody that's blind to be able to do something like this. You know what I mean? Well, stop sneezing. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right. And see, that's another thing too, Robin, is that like one of the issues is that blindness does have like a lot of different aspects to it. Being blind doesn't always mean being black blind. It doesn't always mean that you've got nothing. There's different levels of blindness, and for mine, that's how it is. Like mine is actually opposite of being black blind. I see far too much. There's too much data that comes into my eyes, and every bit of it interferes with all of it. You know what I mean? Like, so like, just to give you an experiment here, okay? Every single pinpoint of light that exists in your visual spectrum, just imagine that, but each of them has a giant halo around it, and also about 100 different versions of it superimposed over each other, all around, right? Like every pinpoint of light. That's like, so just within the vision of what you're able to see right here, right? So this section of my glasses has like multiple light sources to it. Okay. This part of my glasses has multiple light sources to it. This has multiple light sources. This has a light source. This has a light source. This has a light source. You see, like all of these different things, right? And that's just what you see on the screen here right now. The mouse that I have, the mouse cursor, okay? There are at least 50 different mouse cursors, all of them within different places on the screen, and all of them having that weird haloing effect and all that. The lamp that I have over here has it, and there's like at least a dozen different pinpoints of light that are coming off of it. The light that I have up here above me to give you guys a better input of what I look like and all that kind of stuff, that has its own, and it's reflecting everywhere. So it's like all of these different things combined together, and by the time it's all said and done, I've got nothing. Like it's completely washed out. So it's like everything becomes white instead of black. You see what I mean? So right. I guess I can do something along those lines. Yeah. I'm also kind of referring though to the ones that I know are coming at it from like the perspective of like the backhand commenting kind of thing. Because I get that too, like for the streaming stuff, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're blind. How can you play any games? Well, I play the games because the games that I play, I've played for such a long period of time. Some of them even before I went blind. And I know how the game works well enough to know that this bit of movement that I can catch is probably going to be X thing, so I can shoot at it or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I can't, like when I'm playing Fallout 76, for instance, I couldn't tell you what any of the super mutants look like, but I know where they are because I can see like the movement. You know what I mean? That is one thing about my vision, is that anything that moves, I instantly catch because I have like 40 different versions of that thing moving. You know what I mean? Like it's hyper responsive for movement, I know, but it's still, I'm a sensitive guy, I mean, I won't deny I just don't know how to handle sometimes when that kind of thing comes around. You know what I mean? Most of the time I can. But there are times where I'll wake up in the morning and I'm in a lot of pain and I've got this going on and I've got that going on, and it's like, man, I don't want to hear that kind of stuff today, like it's just disappointing, sometimes when you're dealing with humans. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. But I don't want to hide away either, and so that's why I do the things that I do. I can't get out. It's like before my blindness kicked in, I was able to drive around. I was able to do whatever I wanted to do, and it's like I haven't been able to do that for a long time. I have to be reliant on either something like Uber, which I'm not going to do, or my wife, who has all of her health issues and everything. So if I need to go somewhere, I always feel really bad about saying, hey, we need to go X place or whatever, Right. Yeah. I know. I do ignore them for the most part, but like I said, there are times where it's like it does bother me, and I can't deny that it bothers me, but at the same time, like the next day it won't. You know what I mean? Why not Uber? Well, it's not necessarily anything against Uber. It's just, when you're as broke as I am, doing something like a taxi service is nigh on impossible. It's not a thing, if it means like taking an Uber to go somewhere so that I can like do something for myself or putting food on my table for my kids, I'm going to put the food on the table for the kids. Does that make sense? So, I'll just stay at home and do my thing or whatever. But that's why I do this kind of stuff. Being here with you guys is my sociability, my moment in the day when I can come on and just talk to people, and have a little bit of interaction, be a human being, instead of somebody that's just stuck at home staring at the walls or something, you know? So that's why I'm here. You know, I hate to say sometimes karma is a bitch, isn't it? I mean, it's like, I see that with people all the time where, like, for instance, people that are anti-gay and they raise that around their kids, you know, they mistreat people who are gay or whatever. And then wonder why when they do grow up, their kids don't want to have anything to do with them. Well, I mean, that was your own fault, Karen. You know, I mean, that's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you hadn't been this evil person, you know, then maybe your kid would not have responded to you in that kind of a way. I hate to see that kind of thing, you know. I hate to know that anybody is suffering, but at the same time, you know, sometimes karma's a bitch. It really is. But you're right. I mean, the people that do act that way don't matter in the long run. And I'm glad that like in this day and age, that kind of attitude has become less prevalent, you know. It's still there in some people, and I know, like, I mean, it's kind of crazy because I use one of the blind canes, you know, the white blind canes to get around when I'm out of the house. So if it's like, if I'm in a place that I'm familiar with, like home, I can get around without having to use a cane or something like that. I've got muscle memory. I know where everything is, unless someone gets vengeful and moves things around in the house, which does happen, by the way, in this house. Unless that happens, I'm probably not going to face plant into the wall. But if I'm anywhere that I don't have a familiarity with, or that I don't go to very often, like, you know, Walmart or grocery shopping or whatever the case may be, I've become accustomed to using the cane, just so that I don't, like, accidentally ram into somebody or, you know, run into the shelves or bash my knees. I mean, I've got a lot of scars on my knees from me bashing my legs around before I finally gave in and said, you know what, I need to use a cane. Where was I going with this? So like what I've noticed though is that even though I use the cane, and I'm obviously visually impaired by using the cane, right? You would think, seeing somebody walking around with a blind cane, they're probably not be able to see you very well, right? I can't tell you how many people, like, run into me because they, like, expect me to go around them, but I can't see them coming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm walking along as far to the side edge of everywhere that I can, but it's like they pay no attention to the fact that, hey, this guy's got a cane and is probably, you know, not able to see me. I'm just going to walk straight into him. You know what I mean? Hey, Sydney, welcome. I haven't seen you around in a nigh on a grasshopper's age. How have you been? It is really good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the fact that you're here with me right now. I hope you're doing really well. But it's kind of crazy, you know, like how I don't know how to put it. How inattentive people are, you know, but it's like when you are someone who has to be, like, very aware of things, seeing people who are really unaware is a little aggravating sometimes. Oh, you started school again. Gotcha. I guess it's that time of the year for you, huh? Well, I do wish you the best of luck with it. It's always fun. Enjoy it while you can, because adulthood sucks. Just the way I'll put it. But we're kind of having a weird conversation tonight. We were starting to talk about the Old West, and I was going to get into, like, ghost stories. I mean, we've got kind of like a a plate of buffet here for you, and you guys can talk about whatever it is that's on your mind here. I tell you, you know, there's times, not all the time, right? But there are times where I do miss like the high school years, and that it was a long time ago. It was back in the 80s when I went to high school, right? I don't necessarily miss like the lack of technology and all that kind of stuff, but there are times where like I do wish that I could go back in time knowing the things that I know now, so that I could kind of tell myself, you know, hey, don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Like, don't be stupid. Don't be a dumbass, because you did this so much when you were younger. But unfortunately, not going to happen. Not going to happen. I don't see a time machine being built anytime soon. Nobody's pulling up into my driveway with a DeLorean. But anyways, you can't have regrets either. You know, I mean, you can, but it's not really healthy to have regrets. I don't really regret anything that's happened in my life. I don't, honestly. I've been through a lot, you know. I've been through pretty damn much anything you can go through, shy of death and giving birth myself. But I don't really have any regrets about anything, because, you know, I look at it this way. If I look at my life right now, the person that I'm with, Jolene, is absolutely amazing. Amazing. I love this woman with the fury 1,000 suns could never match. She is my all and my everything. Okay. But I got to her, like, I have her in my life after all of the circumstances of everything that I've been through. Like, every decision that's been made, everything that you know I've been through has led me into the life that I currently have. So you don't want to go back to the 80s. Well, why not? Why wouldn't you want to? Just out of curiosity. So if I was to hold on to like angers and regrets and all of that kind of stuff, my concern is that it would diminish the things that I currently have. Like I don't think that I would feel as grateful for what I currently have. And that includes like being blind and everything, you know? I think that I went blind so that like the universe made me a blind guy so that I would not have the ability to take over the world, for my own good, you know? So I don't like hold regrets. I don't hold angers and all that kind of stuff, just because like I don't want to have it diminish what I've got, is really what it comes down to. So, I don't know if that's helpful to anybody or whatever, but you know, that's how I try to live my life. And it's worked out okay. I mean, I won't deny like there are days where that is not the case, you know, but by and large, it's how it is for me, you know. The hair, yes. Well, I had great hair in high school. I really miss the hair that I had in high school. It doesn't want to grow anymore. You know, like I've reached the age, I've reached the stage. Look, guys, okay. This is my hair, right? This is how long it is. Yes, it's long, right? It's long. It goes down to my mid back, but I have not cut my hair in 10 years. It has been 10 years since I've had a haircut, and this is all I get. You know what I mean? Like this top literally does not grow. Like this is all I get, right? I want more. I want more hair. You know, I'm like Gallagher. You know, the joke that he had, you know, the apes went up to God and said, you know, what do you want? I want hair. You know, it's like, that's how I am, man. I want that hair that I had back then, the ability to grow it and all that kind of stuff. What really made me upset was like, the first time I had to cut it was when I got a corporate job. I had to work for the man, and working for the man frickin' sucked, because the first thing they made me do was cut my hair. I couldn't have it like longer than the top of my collar. And so I cut off like 3 feet worth of hair. I mean, it was like it killed me. It really did. It was so upsetting to me. And I wish I could have that back. You know what I mean? Didn't need a full, no, because I was a guy, you know what I mean? I was lucky enough that I got by with just doing the head banging guy thing, you know what I mean? But, I think many women from the 80s are having a lot of health problems today because they inhaled a epic crap ton of Aquanet. That stuff will hold an iron beam in place, man. Hey, your hair is your life. Your hair is an extension of you. You know, if you don't want to cut it, don't cut it. If you want to cut it. Let it be an expression of whoever you are. You know what I mean? That's my thought of it. But me personally, I much preferred myself with having longer hair. My beard's even having trouble these days. Last year when I had it, like my beard that I had last year was really cool. Like it was really long. It went down to my to below my belly button. It was big. But because of the COVID stuff and having to wear masks all the time, I had to cut it. Like it was, whenever I would wear a mask, it was like I was wearing 10 masks because all of it went right up into my face. It was horrible, you know? So, I ended up cutting it. So this growth that I have currently is like a year's worth of growth. You know what I mean? And so I wish that it would grow a little bit better, but I've probably just reached the age where the hair just doesn't want to grow as much anymore, which is sad to me, but, I'm sure like my health issues have something to do with it too. But it is what it is. We get what we get, right? And I'm not a beautiful person by any means, but I try to at least make myself personable most of the time. And you guys get to come along for the ride with it. Yeah. What do you think about that? I am going to change this music because this music is kind of not vibing with me right now. Let's see. What we got here? Sure, that'll work. Something a little nicer. So, how long is your hair right now, Polly? Just out of curiosity. Aw, Ollie. If you need anything, let me know. Otherwise, sleep well, kiddo. Sleep well. Dream good dreams. Ollie's got a lot of allergies going on. Like I said, in the area that we're at, we have this whole air quality thing going on right now because of the wildfires that are going on around. And so they stepped out into it the past couple of days, and it really, really kicked things in hard. So they've been having some issues trying to get through. Bill still doesn't have gray hair, and he's 62. You know, that's crazy, but it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. It doesn't surprise me. The guy still looks like he's like in his 40s, you know? I mean, mine's funny. Like it's not, I mean, yes, it's gray, right? Let me see if I can show you here. It's gray, but at the same time, it's transparent. Like it's really weird, but it will hold color like crazy. In September, I think it was September, I dyed it purple, because I wanted to have purple hair. And, so it was really, it looked really cool. I loved it. And it actually, like, that purple held until just within the past like month or so, it started to fade out. So like my hair like really held on to color really nicely, but I don't know, maybe I'll dye it again. I'm thinking I might, but I at the same time, you know, like I feel like I earned these gray hairs. Like every one of them tells a story for me. So they're my battle scars. Yeah, you've got those lung issues too, Robin. So I'm not surprised. Hopefully if you're indoors, it's not as bad. Almost down to the back collar. Gotcha. That's cool. That is cool. Saw this big chat message come in and I was trying to read it and I'm like, oh wait, nope, that's my chat bot. Never mind then. Never mind. Anyways, so I think that like some of it's due to my health issues, you know, that it doesn't want to like grow out much further anymore. But I hope that I can get things changed with that. Maybe I'll be able to. Right, exactly. Yeah, Sydney. That's kind of it. Like these are my battle scars, right? I've been through a lot. I've been through everything. You know, my wife. It's kind of funny because like my eyebrows like try to go into the gray mode sometimes, but probably TMI, right? But like sometimes when they come in like with the gray, they're like really thick, you know, and I don't want to have like those big bushy eyebrows. And she's like, no, I think you would look really awesome with them. I'm like, no, I don't want them. No, I refuse to have those. No, thank you. I will pass. But the rest of them I like. I've got like, I noticed a couple of days ago when I was rewatching one of the videos that I've been doing, how like gray my beard is getting. And because I can't see myself in the mirror, you know, I don't know what I look like in the mirror at all. I can get an idea of what I look like these days if I get myself like right into the monitor, you know, and squint. I can kind of get a good idea of what I look like, but just dye the rest silver. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever go like full on gray. Like I've still got like a lot of black, you know, but it's getting there. It's getting there. And like I said, it's weird because it's actually like so gray. It's transparent, you know, like it's really weird. I've never seen people's hair do that kind of thing. So I don't know what's up with mine, but it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. Well, I mean, you're already halfway there, Robin. Happily so, right? You've already got the garden for it, right? Robin has like the most spectacular garden. It is absolutely amazing what she has been able to do with her garden. It is so cool looking. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see the full HD video that you post. I'm going to definitely take a look at it. Anyways, so one of the things with like the topic that I wanted to do tonight was actually like ghost stories. And I'm curious, as far as like ghost stories are concerned, what you guys have ever had encounters with. Like, have you ever encountered a ghost? And if so, like, what was it all about? I'd love to know. I'm always very fascinated about the topic because I'm one of those weird people that I've been able to like see them or at least sense them around throughout my whole life. And I don't know if that's lucky or not, but you know, it's kind of a thing. One of the things I hate with it is driving down the road, like especially when I was doing the driving back in the day. They would kind of like, I don't know if it's like a fun thing for them or something, I don't know, but like pop up out of nowhere in front of the car. And it's like, oh crap, and like, it's like, no, I'm not going to be joining you today. Stop trying to kill me. It's kind of terrifying a little bit, so I don't know. Do you guys have any weird things that have ever happened to you? Well, yeah. So tell them, Robin. I'd love to hear them. I've had some very, very weird, interesting, and scary experiences over the years. And it's like I'm not scared of them necessarily. It's just like sometimes they'll do things to like really creep you out. You know what I mean? And it's not like you've been on a crappy ghost tour. I mean, that counts. That counts. That is a thing for sure. I think that one of the things, like, and this is, getting serious for just a second. Like, I think one of the things that is okay. Like, people have an inherent fear of like the spirit realm, right? To begin with, because it's like a reminder subconsciously of our own mortality. And a lot of people are very, very scared of their own mortality. Right. But at the same time, even those who don't necessarily have that with them, they still, like, if they encounter that spirit, the overwhelming, like, fear and stuff like that with it is very present. It's very much a thing for a lot of people out there. And one of the reasons why I think that occurs, and I'm just throwing this out there, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think that this is one of the reasons why that occurs, is because what it boils down to is that spirits are energy, right? And upon like the moment of death, like death is not always a pleasant experience. It's not always you surrounded by your loved ones laying in bed, falling asleep, and you pass on, right? It's not always that. Sometimes it's very painful. Sometimes it's very horrifying. Sometimes it's very, tragic, on and on and on, all of the things. And I think what ends up happening is that the spirit has like carried that same kind of energy with them. So it's not necessarily that, like, if you were to see one and feel this fear with it and everything, it's not necessarily that you are actually afraid of it, but what you're doing is you're feeling that same emotional energy that spirit is carrying with it, that it's had since it passed on. I hope that makes sense. Like, that's the kind of thing that I get from it, but I don't know for sure. Love to know your thoughts with it though, guys. I'm going to grab a drink here real quick. My first was when I was young enough to be on a potty chair. We lived in a second floor apartment, and Mom put me on the potty and went down to get the mail, and I saw a man in an overcoat and a fedora. You saw a hat man. Okay. Walked in front of the bathroom door, looked at me, and continued on to Mom's room. Okay. Definitely sounds like a hat man story so far. While you're typing it out there, I have actually written a book that's based on the whole Hat Man motif called Revenant, that is part of my Black Rose Files series. A lot of people have experienced the Hat Man over the years. I'm just filling up my vape here real quick, guys. I'm sorry. A lot of people over the years telling the stories about the Hat Man have experienced a lot of very horrifying things with the Hat Man. And there's kind of like a big question as to whether or not the Hat Man is actually a spirit, or if it's more like a demonic entity because of some of the really horrible attachments that end up happening with the Hat Man saga. You know, it can definitely cause a lot of problems. Now, it's not like not every spirit with a hat is a Hat Man, but you know, the way you're describing it with the trench coat and the fedora, that is most definitely Hat Man material. Let me see. I will show you another picture just while you're typing things out here, guys. If I can find it, give me a moment. There you go. That's the cover that I did for Revenant. That cover is kind of like based on actual stories that people have told about the Hat Man. If they can get a look at his face, this is pretty close to what they have described seeing. So yeah. Hat Man's a weird one. One of my people that I've encountered over the years that had a Hat Man encounter himself talked about something along the same lines that Robin was just talking about with basically he was coming out of his room and there was a figure that was starting to come up the stairs towards where he was at, and this figure had on a fedora, had on a trench coat, and when it saw my friend standing there, it like rampaged at him, ran right into him and threw him. And my friend talked about just the absolute terror that he felt. He ended up peeing himself. He felt so scared. And this guy is not one to get scared. Like, just the emotion that was coming off this thing was so terrifying. First time your mom and dad tried scrying, when dad looked up from the bowl, his face was that of a very old man with a long beard. So did you see that one yourself, or was that one that they told Robin? Just making sure. I had something again. I'm not trying to like, you know, oh well, that's my story or something like that. But I had another similar kind of a thing to that too. When I was younger, I was messing around with a Ouija board with a friend of mine, and I can't explain why it happened this way, because I know in and of itself the combinations of things aren't necessarily a thing, but we were doing the Ouija board, and another friend walked in. He had a Bible, and he like threw it at the Ouija board, and the thing hit the board and like slid away from it. And all of us heard this like loud voice in our ears, "Never do that again." And I'm like, nope, never going to do that one again. You saw it. Gotcha. Okay. That same night, your little dog woke me up standing on my chest, growling at me. I looked out of my door and there were lights streaking up and down the hallway. Wow. Okay. That's creepy. That's a creepy one. I think one of the most this one's a bit hard to talk about, and I'll talk about this while you guys type things out. But my mom and dad moved us to Virginia when I was younger. I was about 10. And we moved to this plantation that was owned at one time by one of Abraham Lincoln's top aides. He's the one that owned the land and all the slaves and everything there. It was at the foot of one of the mountains there in the Appalachias. And Appalachia, sorry. Got to get the Fallout terminology. Anyway, so while we were there, basically my mom got a job as the maid for the upstairs. She became the upstairs maid at this place, and my dad became like a handyman on the property. I was kind of like given free reign of the house and the grounds. Most of my time I spent actually down the road from where the plantation was. There was a horse farm down the road. And so I would go down there to spend time with the horses, and I got to know everything really well enough that they actually allowed me to do some of the breaking and training of the horses, which I thought was like one of the coolest experiences ever, by the way. If you ever get a chance to work with horses, do it. They are absolutely amazing, amazing creatures. Love them. But there was one day that I decided to ride my bike, and I was going through this big field that was behind where the big house, that we called it the big house because it was like massive, you know. As I'm riding my bike through this field, my bike stops. And I look down and I see that there's like brambles. And guys, I can't explain why this happened, okay? All I know is that it did. There were brambles that were coming up out of the ground, and they were literally starting to wrap around the wheels of my bike, the pedals, my legs, everything. And these brambles had thorns on them, and I still actually have scars on my leg from where these brambles gripped into my skin and cut me open. And the whole world like turned dark. And then I saw this mist start to come up out of the ground. And bear in mind, this was like mid-morning time, right? We would get fog in the area, of course, but this was like the time of day enough where any possible fog would have burned off. You know what I mean? And there was no fog that was there at that moment in time when I got caught up in these brambles. I just unplugged my headphones, so let me go ahead and plug these back in as I talk. But as this mist came up, it started to turn into figures. And the figures, I couldn't tell at first what they were, but as the moments progressed, I realized that they were images of people that I recognized later on and as this all progressed, but I recognize now too that they were slaves. And in the following moments, I was shown, and I don't know if it was something that the mist was showing me or if it was in my mind, but either way, I was shown different things that happened. And it was very rapid, like it was all boom, 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 one after the other. I remember feeling like lashes across my back. I remember feeling like my legs being broken. I remember a lot of different things, like all real rapid, one right after the other, right? And then the mist faded, the brambles broke apart and disappeared, and suddenly I was let go of everything. And I got out of there in a hurry. I went right back towards where the big house was and screaming the whole time. I got to the house and I got into one of the bathrooms and I got myself cleaned up as best as I could, because I knew if my mom saw me in the condition that I was in, she would get very upset. And so I didn't want that to happen because I didn't know what to make of what just happened to me. It was terrifying. I asked questions later of the people who had been there for a little while, the ones that I had gotten to know. And I found out that the place that I had gotten myself to in this field was the location where the slave houses that had been moved to behind the plantation originally were. And they were moved closer to the big house so that they could have them like on historical display. Like people could come to the plantation and see the way that people lived back in those days, and they could see the houses, nothing more than really ramshackle shacks, that the slaves would be penned up in. So the place that I had gotten to was where those originally were before they got moved. I've tried to figure out over the years why this experience happened to me. Like, what was the purpose of all of this? And the only thing that I can figure out, because even today I can still feel all of it if I think about it, it's hard to talk about. I think that the reason why is because these people wanted somehow, I don't think it was a vengeance thing, right? Let me make that clear. I don't think that it was like a vengeance thing or an anger thing or anything along those lines. I think it was just, this is what we endured. Please understand what happened to us. Like, I hope that makes sense. Sure. I need a lot of help. You could probably use a little bit of help too, I'm sure. If you need a little bit of help, there is psychological help that's available, and therapy is definitely a very good thing for a lot of people. I think that everybody out there can benefit from it. So I do hope that you can seek it out and get yourself better. But yeah. In the meantime, have a great life. So anyway, let me real quick go ahead and fill up the chat with some text. There we go. Just so it's not on the video anymore. Nobody needs to see that kind of dumb shit. So, anyways, let me go back a little bit now. So earlier, Robin said, I screamed and Dad came in through my dog. We ran out into the kitchen living room. Oop. Chat reset there. Ran out into the kitchen living room, and all the doors and drawers were slamming open and shut, and the appliances were sliding to the center of the kitchen. Holy crap. We spent the night at Azar's. Yeah. That's a very disturbing one, Robin, to say the least. When there's like those physical effects like that going on, that's a real terrifying experience, because you don't know, like if it's just a spirit, right? If it's just a spirit coming and interacting with you, that's one thing. But when they're like throwing stuff and moving stuff and all that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, this could really hurt me. What do you want, dude? Like. Tell me what you want, and that, we'll go from there, right? So Sydney, yeah, it was a very, like, that experience happened 40 years ago, and I still carry it with me to this day. You know, it was very disturbing. But again, like, looking, like, at the time, I thought that it was like a very torturous thing, you know, why the hell did I go through this? Right. But as I've aged and look back on it here and there, I think it was a matter of, because when it comes to spirits, you know, I'm a little bit weird, right, in thinking of things, but what I think the purpose of most, not all, but most spirits is that they just want their stories heard. You know, they want their stories known. They don't want to be forgotten. And yeah, Robin, exactly. Yeah, they wanted their lives to be remembered. They wanted their lives to have a purpose, you know? And I tell the story not because I want people to think I'm cool or because I'm like wanting to scare people or something like that. No, I tell it because this is an experience that I had that reminds me, you know, puts it right into my head that this kind of thing we can never allow to happen again. You know, I didn't experience it firsthand, but I was touched by what these people experienced, and just being touched by it was more than enough to impact me for a lifetime. You see what I mean? Like, I hope that I'm making sense with all of that. And that's one of the reasons why I think I'm as like just being a human being, you're supposed to be like anti-racist and all of that kind of stuff, right? But I think that it's like that stuff that happened to me really pushed into my head that when people, like last night, we had people coming in, you know, N-word and Black Lives Don't Matter and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, that's inhuman. It's not just inhumane, but it's inhuman. You literally are not a human being if you are acting in that kind of a way, you know? I mean, that's really what it kind of comes down to. So, you remember back in high school, I had this weird experience. It was almost like a dream, but I was fully awake. Anyways, in this dream, I stabbed someone in the back of the neck. They were pitch black and didn't have any details, almost like it could have been anyone. To be fair, I was pubescent and was likely manifesting a poltergeist because of the fear from the scrying incident. Yeah, I mean, you know, there are different types of spirits, and I will say, like, one of the things that I've kind of discovered over the years is that by and large, like, the poltergeist experience is actually not a spirit. It's actually one of the people that's living there that's actually causing it to happen. And it's almost like it's a spiritual release valve of sorts, you know, like they're going through trauma or they're going through something, you know, that's making it so that they maybe not be able to speak out about what's happening to them. So it comes out as these incidents happening. That's my thoughts on it, though, and I could be wrong with it, but that's what I think is happening as far as like a poltergeist kind of a thing goes. It's not necessarily a spirit. It's, you know, somebody that's there, and usually it's a child. Usually it's a child. So, anyways. That either way though, that's a kind of a terrifying thing to happen, you know. I thank you for sharing the story with us. I think when it comes to haunted houses and things like that, yeah, it might be like he was sensing it, yeah. Or trying to get you to stop. A little terrified of you, perhaps. I think when it comes to haunted houses, there's like different aspects of hauntings. So it can be kind of like one of a few different things. Number one, it could be just, BS, right? Like it might just be the imagination of the people that are living there. We gotta acknowledge that can be a thing, right? It's not always, but it can be, whatever psychological issue is going on with the people that are experiencing it, they might be, hallucinating or things like that. It happens. Okay. We have to acknowledge that is perhaps something, but the other types of things that can happen are, well, number one, an actual legit spirit being there. The third possibility is that can be caused by carbon monoxide poisoning, apparently. That's what I'm referring to by something psychological is happening and the people are like hallucinating or seeing things that aren't actually happening. But there are things that do happen with people. So one of the possibilities, and this is something that I've tried to come to terms with over the years, is what I've come to term energy vortexes. Okay, so let me go into what these are, and maybe you guys will understand where I'm coming from with it. Energy vortexes are where like the energy of the place is kind of like indelibly marked by an event or series of events that have taken place in that zone. Okay. So if you were to go to Woodstock, for instance, today, you're probably going to feel like some carryover energy from what happened during the 60s with the Woodstock festival that took place. Okay. It's still like it was such a dramatic and emotional event that happened that it still carries it with it today. You can feel it if you're sensitive to it, and that's like what you would probably term like a positive kind of an energy vortex. Okay. However, if you were to also walk into like Gettysburg and go to the battlefields of Gettysburg, you can also feel the energy of what took place there too. And it's much more dark to feel. Both of those are what I would call energy vortexes. These zones of energy that are carrying the memory of what occurred. Okay. And I think that houses, buildings, that kind of thing can be affected by the same type of thing. So let me give you an example of what in my research I've seen occurring with places. Okay. Let's say there is a family. Yeah, we got a Gettysburg story too. I'd love to hear it. Let's say that there's a family that lives in a house, wife, husband, 2 kids, a dog, and 2.5 cats, right? They're all living in this house. And something happens that the husband loses his job. Okay, I'm just giving you sets of examples here. Let's just say that the husband loses his job and he tries to find a new job, but he's not able to get a hold of one. Like he can't get hired anywhere for whatever reason. And this goes on for a period of time. The wife's getting more and more upset. She's constantly yelling at him. They're always fighting about money and how she wants to go out and work and he won't let her, or whatever the case may be, right? And just it's like one thing after the other keeps happening that he can't get a job and the family's getting more and more upset, right? Well, one day He comes home from going out and looking for this job. He's been out on the street all day trying to get, one job or another offered coming in. He can't find it. He comes home and he finds his wife in bed with the neighbor. And he gets like wicked upset and just kills her and him. Maybe then ends up killing himself. Just out of fury and frustration. Well, that event will leave a mark on that house. It's like an old 80s tape player, with a little bit of a kink in it, If you listen to that tape, you're going to hear it when that kink hits the player. You know what I mean? It's it's like an indelible mark is placed on that place. So then in the future, another family moves in. Right. And it might just be a husband and a wife, nothing, just the two, just a couple. Right. And they might not experience anything while they're at the house. They might live there for a couple of years and nothing happens, nothing occurs, nothing strange. But then they move out and another family moves in that is a husband and a wife, 2 kids, a dog, 2.5 cats, the whole gamut. The makeup of the family is basically the same as what it was during when this original event took place. Okay. It's not the same people, of course, but it's like the same makeup, right? Well, psychologically speaking, or whatever the case may be, all of it could be like all of the people could be, stable, nothing wrong, nothing going on. But as they live there, the husband starts to get more and more depressed, starts to get more dark, starts to get more problems, starts to get more issues. You know what I mean? Starts to fight and on and on and on, and never had the problem before moving into this house. Like never had this kind of an issue happen before they moved into this house. And suddenly all of these psychological issues start to creep in. And then maybe one day he comes home from work or from looking for a job or whatever the case may be, and ends up killing his wife or himself or something along those lines. What's happening is that this place, this indelible mark that has been put onto this place, will leach in to the people living there, especially if they are of the same kind of like tenor and makeup of what was originally there to begin with. Does this make sense? Like the people that were there maybe as just the couple didn't have any kind of experiences happen there because they weren't the same, didn't hit the same cues as the original circumstance. But the family that then moved in later had the same similar structure to it. And so the energy of this vortex ended up starting to wrap into the psychology of the people that were there, that were living there, that were inundated in it, you see. I think that when it comes to haunted houses, this is the kind of thing that we can see happening, is that largely haunted houses are actually just energy vortexes. It's the tape playing over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Like for whatever reason, this event that took place there, or this moment in time is replayed, like a videotape. And then there are actual spirits, right? But the way you can tell the difference between them is, let's say, for instance, in your house, you have a spirit that you think is there because a door keeps opening on its own, or it keeps opening and closing on its own, or the drawers come out on their own. But like it's always the same thing. You hear like 3 knocks on the wall or something like that, right? It's the same thing every time. It's not different every time. It's the same thing every time. Okay. And then you'll have others where it's like there are you'll hear footsteps. Then another time you're going to like maybe see a figure, or then another time you're going to see like something move, or another time you're going to like feel the cold breath on your chin, or whatever the case may be, right? It's going to be different each time. Well, if it's the same thing, that is an energy vortex. That is that tape player on repeat, right? The things that are changing, though, the events changing, that is a spirit. I hope you catch what I'm trying to say here. So it's like, if it's different each time, then that is likely going to be an actual spirit haunting, not a replay situation. Whereas the things that happen the same each time, that's a replay situation, and it's going to be for whatever reason, because of something that happened in that location that was strong enough that it leaves a mark on that place. All right, let me go back to the chat here and I'll read what you guys are saying here. I was walking the battlefield and I felt the ground shaking, and then I saw soldiers running through the brambles that separate the fields. When we got back to the building where they have the gift shop, I asked if they always have reenacting or if it was a special occasion, and they said they do have reenactments, but there wasn't one then. See, that was probably one of the replays happening. I do think that there are probably still spirits that are attached there to Gettysburg, but I think that Gettysburg is definitely one of those places where a lot of replays happen, especially because like so many different reenactments do happen there. It really like keeps reinforcing the patterns of energy that are there, like it doesn't have a chance to dissipate. It doesn't have a chance to go away. And I know this is like a weird conversation to have, you know what I mean? Like it's weird. But at the same time, I think that enough people out there have had experiences that they can't explain, and they would really like to try to figure out why it is. So that's why I'm talking about like the energy vortexes and the spirits and all that kind of stuff, because like I think that it can help people maybe have a different grasp. Science, I do try to take things from like as a scientific perspective as I can, right? I have had experiences in my life that I cannot explain. So what kind of science is behind what's happening here? You know what I mean? Well, we know through science that energy cannot be destroyed. It changes. It just changes. And we have seen evidences showing that when someone does die, there are different things that occur to the body, up to and including like a release of like weight. And it's not much, but there's a release of weight that takes place that they can't really explain why it happens. Well, is that the weight of the spirit? Does the spirit actually have weight? Is that energy actually there as a weight? Other people have had near-death experiences, and I know like sometimes those near-death experiences can be explained away by things like the DMT that goes through the brain, that same chemical that's there when we dream, causing us to have a hallucination of sorts. But there are people that have had the NDE experiences, like my wife, who were shown how their future life was going to be, and it has literally come to fruition. Every event that they've seen in their near-death experience has come to fruition. Up to and including seeing me as her husband, literally. Not just, oh, this is what he's going to look like. This is what he's going to be like. No. She literally saw me. She literally saw our kids, so, and she was given the choice of coming back or staying on the other side. And if she came back, well, here's what your life's going to be like. Open book, right here you go. So there are these events that take place. There are these things that happen to people, and they cannot otherwise be explained by the science that we currently have. And see, that's the thing, is that it's science that we just currently don't have. I think that someday we will come up. I mean, do you realize the telephone was actually created originally for the purposes of speaking to spirits? That's what the telephone originally was intended for, was as a communication device for spirits. Kind of weird. Maybe you didn't know that. I need a drink. Give me a second. There we go. Anyway, so like I said, I mean, I've had a weird life. You know, I've had a weird life for whatever reason. I've been given this weird set of experiences, and I've tried over the years to explain, number one, why me, but number two, like, what's the purpose of it? You know, what am I seeing with all of this? You know. When Mom died, I had just gone to bed, and I looked up at the ceiling and I saw red and white flashing lights. Then I heard Amanda, who was 3 in her crib, singing. I look out the window and didn't see. Okay, you're still typing. Okay. So I've tried to, like I said, come at things with like as much of a scientific viewpoint as I can, because I don't want to like do pseudoscience. I want to try to figure out, why is this occurring? Why do some people have these experiences and some don't, when it can't be explained away by, oh, you're just having a weird psychology or something like that. You know what I mean? When that's not the case, then explain to me why these things occur. You know what I mean? There are things like our ability to perceive is quite small compared to what's actually available as information and data that comes in. You may not like, I'm going to have you guys do a little experiment here with me. I want you to look down and look at your nose and recognize that until I said to do that, you could not see your nose. Like, your nose did not exist to you, quote unquote. Until I mentioned, hey, by the way, look at your nose. Okay, I looked out the window and I didn't see a source for the lights and went to check on Amanda. She was looking up at the wall and singing. Asked, what are you doing? She said, singing with the lady. Mom used to sing Pretty Little Angel Eyes. I bring up the topic of the nose thing because I want you to understand that the brain does some amazing tricks to get by. And so one of the things that it does is it recognizes that your nose is always in your vision, always in your field of view. Unless you've got something going on with your nose, you know. But your vision is, or your nose is always in your field of vision, and you don't even like recognize or realize that it's there until either something is going wrong with it, or you point out, hey, take a look at the nose. You know what I mean? And I know mine's huge, like it's hard to miss, right? But I think that some aspect of this is important when it comes to the spirit world, because I think that when it comes to the spirit world, I think it is around us all the time, and we, like, from a young age, just simply experience it being around us all the time, and yet our brains, because it's always there, basically have like deleted it from our current sensory perception, because it's like it's not important data for us to recognize being there at that moment in time. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so she sung Pretty Little Angel Eyes to Amanda. A few minutes later, our dad knocked on my door to tell me mom was killed. That's how I met him. There's a similar story that I have, Robin, with my dad, our dad, with Seth. When he was younger, he would talk to people, and he would talk all the time about how he could see things around him, and he just couldn't really find the words to describe it. And one day we found him talking, and I asked who he was talking to, and he said, "Oh, well, I'm just having a conversation with Uncle Ted." Well, Dad's name is Ted, you know, and while Ted might have been his grandpa, Seth maybe didn't realize, you know, this is grandpa, and just called him Uncle Ted, because like everybody, you know, that is close to us family wise, you know, hey, this is Uncle Joe. Hey, this is Uncle Tom, you know, that kind of thing. So like, but he never met Dad ever. And the description that he gave of the man that he was seeing was Dad. Like 100%. So I think that the Dad was definitely there, you know, and like wasn't meant for me, but was meant for Seth. You know what I mean? And it might be the same with Manda, that she was there, but she was there for Manda, not for you, you know? I don't know. But either way, it's definitely one of those things that occurs a lot more frequently than people admit, you know? I think people have experiences more often than it is spoken about, because to speak about it is disastrous for people sometimes, you know, because they get looked at like they're crazy, or they get looked at like they're insane or not believed, you know, they're called liars and all this kind of stuff, you know, and it's like, it's horrible how people are treated when they come out and try to just talk about, hey, this is something that happened to me that was really weird. You know, I mean, for me, the paranormal is normal. You know, that's really what it comes down to. I've had weird experiences my whole life, and I just kind of take it as a matter of course at this point in time that, yeah, weird crap happens, you know, can't explain it. Don't know why it's occurring, but it's there, you know? Right. Exactly. That's kind of what I was referring to with that she was there for Manda, not for you, you know, because I know that. It's weird, you know, but it's like, I don't know why spirits like come to visit on death, you know, that happens a lot. It really does. I don't know why that occurs. I don't know if it's a thing where they're trying to say goodbye, or if they're trying to like give comfort, or if they're trying to just say, hey, by the way, I'm dead now, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but I know that it happens. It happens a lot. And again, it's like stuff that people don't want to talk about, because to talk about it is like doom, you know? And to me, that's sad, you know, because like, again, it's an experience that so many people have had, like more people than not have had these weird experiences, you know, but mainstream media and all that kind of stuff says, no, nothing like that is ever possible. Nope, never possible, you know, and yet science can't explain why different things occur even right now, you know, quantum physics, they have no clue how to deal with it. I mean, they've got some clue, but they don't have like an objective means to observe things on a large scale, you know, or the effects of things on a large scale. They have a good idea maybe, but they haven't quite gotten it pinned down. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of things that are left open. The stories you tell are always interesting, Robin. What are you talking about? Always interesting. You're ever fascinating, to say the least. But either way, I'm glad that you were willing to speak it out. Shadow people, you know, actually, I back when I did the radio days, actually, I did a show on shadow people, and it turned out really interesting. I've had a couple of weird shadow people experiences too. One of the ones that sticks out in my head the most is I was going for a walk with one of my friends, Laura, and we were in the downtown area of our major city, and it was probably about 2:00 in the morning, walking around, you know, just being stupid, walking around in the middle of the night. And both of us noticed at the same time there was something that was moving across the street from us, that was like near one, like the buildings that were around. There were like those kind of like square boxy businesses, that have like the awnings and stuff over the front of them. There's like a huge row of them that are on one of the streets. So that's the kind of street that we were walking on. And we saw something move near like the end of the block, basically, where these box buildings begin. And so what we saw was a pretty large, but it was long. It wasn't that it was like big bulky, but it was long, shadowy figure that was leaping from awning to awning at the front of these buildings. And it was like making its way down the street. Like it would jump from one building to the next. It would like hang out there and kind of like scuttle sideways and then scuttle back around and then scuttle sideways again. And then boom, it would jump to the next one. And it kind of like kept doing this kind of thing over and over until it got to about 3 businesses away from where we were standing. And when it jumped to this next one, it like, I don't know, I guess maybe it noticed that we were there and that we could see it, you know? And so it like stood there or scuttled there or held on there like a big spider thing, kind of something. I don't know. But it just kind of like held there for almost a full minute. Like we could tell it was staring us down, even though we couldn't see a face. Like you could feel it exuding off of it. And then instead of going to the next building like it had been doing, it like scrambled upwards and went over the top of the building and disappeared. You know, like it kind of went over to the other side of the building to the roof where we can no longer see it. And it's like for that time that it was doing this, like the two of us were just standing there transfixed. Like we couldn't move. We didn't talk. I don't even think I breathed practically, you know, but like it was such like a weird thing, but it's like I knew instinctively whatever it is that I was seeing wasn't a spirit, you know, it wasn't a spirit. It was something different than like a ghost. It was something almost like physical, but not, you know? And it was quite frankly pretty terrifying. And I don't scare really all that easy, you know, like I really don't. But I look back on it and I can still like remember the locked in fear kind of a thing that I felt as this thing was like moving around, you know. And it wasn't because, oh, this is such a strange thing, because again, I've experienced strange things. I'd experienced strange things dozens of times before I saw this thing, right? So it's not that it was like a weird thing. It was because whatever was like exuding off of it almost made it a pressure that you had to feel that way. You know what I mean? Like an elemental? I mean, possibly. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. How about you guys? Have you guys ever had any like shadow people experiences? I'd love to hear about it, because the shadow people thing is definitely a weird topic in and of itself. You know, it really is. There's a lot that goes into that one too. I'm going to take a real quick bio break though. I will be right back. Thank you.
Incoming customer detected.
Keep your eyes open, boys.
We need to have a serious talk.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Needed to take that real quick run. So for the shadow people stuff, you know, it's like it's almost like they're beings that are, I don't know, maybe even interdimensional in some kind of way or something. You know, I don't know. Like they're pretty creepy though, you know. It's a little terrifying to experience it, to be honest with you. So if you never have, I hope that you never do, because it's pretty damn weird. My chair has decided to like not lean back on me or something. I don't know. Give me a second here. It's been fun, but it's way past my bedtime. I got one of my littles coming to spend the evening with me tomorrow and need to get up and toddler proof. All right, sis. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you telling all the stories that you had too. It's really, it's good to know that I'm not the only one in the family who's insane. But I love you. Sleep well. I'll talk to you later. Thank you for being here, though, one way or the other. And for some reason, yeah, my chair has decided to stop functioning on me as much as it should. I can't lean back in it anymore. I've had this chair for a really long time, though. So, Ollie, you're back. Are you feeling any better? Oh, good. You said you're feeling better. Good. Okay, I'm glad to know that. You've missed all of the conversation. My goodness. There has been so much. I cannot catch you up on it. You're going to have to go back and watch everything. Yeah. Thinking about making some adoptables. So what kind of adoptable are you trying to make? I'm very curious about that. So anyways, yeah, the spirit world, like there's a lot more that goes on in reality than what we really think, you know, and it saddens me that people like are very afraid to talk about it, you know. What characters people can buy the design for. Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Go for it. Whatever inspires you is the way to go. Funnily enough, I've actually written a book about all of this stuff. It's called Haunted, Finding an Explanation for the Unknown. If you guys would like to check it out, please let me know. It is available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes & Noble. It's available in a lot of different places, but don't buy it. Please don't buy it. And I'll tell you why. I wrote the book, and it's not that I'm not proud of the book, by the way. I am very proud of the book. I think that it was really well written. I actually did a lot of historical research into like what our ancient cultures even thought about spirits and ghosts and all of that kind of stuff. Like, where did the origin of the spirit world really get its start? You know, what did our ancestors think of spirits? What did they deal with them and all that kind of stuff? It's very intriguing. Like, I go into the Minoan civilization, the Cretan civilization, the Roman Empire. I mean, Hebrews. I mean, you name it. I went into the Egyptians. I mean, the whole history of ghost stories. You know what I mean? Like, what did these people believe about ghosts, and how does that affect us today and our beliefs today, actually, about what they are? It's a very interesting book, I think. And I told some of my own personal experiences with it too. But please don't buy it. If you guys would like a copy of it, let me know. My email is ira@originalworlds.com. Okay. Or DM me through YouTube, DM me through comment section, DM me through Twitch, wherever it is that you're watching through. If you're interested in the book, I will send you a copy of it for free. The reason why is because of the publishing company that published the book. And give me just a quick second here. I got to see if I can fix this chair because this is really uncomfortable. Just give me a moment. You guys are going to see some weird things here. Oh God, there we go. That's a lot more comfortable. I don't know what happened to it. I got up to go to the bathroom and suddenly it stopped working. I've had this chair for like 4 years or 5 years now, though. It's definitely old, and it's definitely getting to be seeing its age. And now you don't have this close-up view of me in your face. Anyway, the publishing company that published that book really screwed me over in a big way. Neely Worldwide Publishing, I will call them out for it too. So basically, I published a number of books through them, and I got paid for the books, you know, that were sold, right? The royalties and such that were sold, for a time. I'm not the only author that had this particular experience with this publishing company. I was able to speak to some of the other authors that were in their stable, and they went through very similar experiences. Normally their pay would come through bi-yearly. So every 6 months, starting in February and then again in August. So I got paid my royalties in it was September that the payment ended up coming in. And then when I was due for the next payment in February, they told me the amount that I was due and told me that it would be sent into the bank account because I did direct deposit with them. And I didn't think anything else of it. During that period of time, we had like our tax refunds come in and all that kind of stuff. So, money was coming in, and neither my wife or I paid much attention to like the sources of where things were coming in during that time. We had a lot of stuff going on in our lives too. Until a few months after, and I happened to mention something to Jolene about like my royalties, and she said, "You know what? I don't think they ever sent it." So we got to looking back in the bank account and realized no, the money never did come in. So I got in contact with these publishers and demanded, "You guys need to give me my payment." It never came in. And they said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll make sure to take care of that. We'll make sure to take care of that." August came rolling around, and again, they sent me like the invoice of what was going to be due to me for the royalties that would be coming in for that next, the previous 6 months there. And I'm like kind of rolling my eyes. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And never came in. So I started getting into contact with some of the other authors that were there in the stable with them. A couple of which I had the opportunity during doing the radio shows to interview and talk to, and had really good conversations with. We built up a nice relationship. So I asked them bluntly, did you guys get paid? And have you been paid? Like, when's the last time you guys got your money? And all of them said, yeah, it's been actually since last year. So, through a series of steps, basically, the publishing company folded, and they never returned the rights to the books to those of us who published the books with them. So the book, this book in particular, and as well as all the other books that were published with them, are still available on like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and libraries and so on and so forth. It's in the Library of Congress, for God's sakes, it's there. But these places that they are published at still have them as the rights holders and as the people who receive the payments. So any books that are sold with my name attached to them, at least for these in particular, I get nothing out of. Nothing. I know I can sue them for the money that's owed, but I don't think I'd ever get it. And trust me, I've looked into it. Entertainment lawyers are super expensive. Super duper expensive. And the amount of royalties that I would get would not be worth the amount of money that would come out of my pocket to get it in the first place. I have tried to contact them multiple times to get the rights revoked back to me. Haven't heard a thing, nothing. I know that the people still exist. I mean, I've seen them doing their own thing. I know that they still exist, but they sure won't talk to me. So anyways, if you're interested in Haunted, Finding an Explanation for the Unknown, please let me know. I will gladly send you a copy of it, because I just want people to read it. Like that's the only, like, I put my heart and soul into writing these books, right? I just want people to read them and enjoy them and get out of them what I put into them, So I'm not worried about the cash. I could use the cash, sure, but I'm not worried about it. Like, that's not my intent with this. But like I said, any of the books that you see with my name on it that are published by Neely Worldwide Publishing, I get nothing out of. Nothing. And I know they're still selling. Like, that's the frustrating thing. I know they're still selling because I can see like the sales ranks are there, right? I know like approximately how many copies they've sold, and they've sold a fair amount. They've still got me on their website, for Christ's sake. But I get nothing out of it. Like, not a thing. And it's heartbreaking, because these books are my kids. You know what I mean? Like these stories are my children, and I've got like sequels that I've written to some of these books, and I can't publish them. Well, I can, but in order to enjoy the sequel, you got to read the first book, right? Right? So if I was to publish the sequel under my bailiwick, under my purview, I would have to also advertise the first book, which they are currently getting the money out of, and I'm getting nothing out of. So why put in the advertising money that it would cost me to sell the book when I'm going to get nothing out of it? So I've got these sequels that literally nobody has ever read. Nobody. And that's kind of disappointing, because I spent, in some cases, months writing these books, and to get absolutely nothing out of it in return, it's a little bit heartbreaking. But what can you do, right? What can you do? Yeah. So, anybody that's interested, just contact me, Ira, at originalworlds.com, or you can go to my website, originalworlds.com, and you can do the contact link that's there. And I'm happy to provide whatever anybody would like, I'm happy to do it. Because again, I just want people to enjoy. So, with all that being said, it is getting a little late, and I'm getting a little bit tired. I've streamed for about 5 hours again today. So, my voice is getting a little bit worn out, and I'm needing a little bit of food. So, I do think I'm going to go ahead and take off here. However, all that being said, I do hope that you have had a very good time tonight. I've had a good time. Not a lot of people talking, but that's okay. That's okay. The people that are here are meant to hear whatever they're hearing, I guess. So, anyways, I do hope all of you guys have had a really good night and a really good life. And before I do leave, let me make sure to give you this little bit of a dad moment. I know that things can be very painful sometimes. And I know that sometimes it's hard to be saddled genetically with the people that you are. But if it helps, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and know that I'm giving you the biggest virtual dad hug that you can get. Because if nobody else has told you this, I love you. Okay? And I thank you deeply for being here with me in this moment in time. I do hope that it's been worth your while. If you are over on Twitch, make sure you guys hit that follow button, because I do come live all the time. I've been on twice today, so I'm on like all different kinds of times and places and stuff. And you guys can find all of that information there on my Twitch channel. So make sure you guys hit that follow button. If you're over there on the YouTube channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because again, I come out with new stuff all the time. And for those of you guys that are on Twitch, you can find me over on YouTube. Blind Dad does on both platforms, Twitch and YouTube. And I do different things on the different platforms. So what you see on one platform, you might not find on the other one. So, I kind of cross-pollinate everywhere. I'm like a little bee. Anyways, so I do hope all of you guys keep safe out there. Have fun. Thank you so much as always for watching. We'll talk to you again later.
Incoming customer detected.
Keep your eyes open, boys.